What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Fringe. Boy, do we have a new one to talk about today. Justin Trudeau. I'm not going to play any audio from this narcissistic peon, but we are going to have to talk about something that's come in on his latest budget. We can't even call it a budget because budgets are usually fiscally responsible. If you've watched my video, which for some reason YouTube buried on the revelation of the budget, or if you've heard about the budget, you'd know that it offers nothing for actual Canadians other than capital gains taxes for people in small businesses and what they claim are going to the richest people in Canada. But part of that package that was pleasantly omitted, that has been announced as of yesterday, is Justin Trudeau to offer halal mortgages in Canada. Now, some of you may not know what a halal mortgage is in Canada. If you've followed my last few videos where I was talking about the lending power of buying a home and what interest rates would mean between a 25 and 30-year mortgage. Again, I'll put it into perspective very quickly if you missed those videos. If you were to buy a $500,000 house, put down the 5% bare minimum payment and get your CMHC or Genworth insurance, your principal interest by the time you're done paying the house is roughly $300,000, meaning that a $500,000 house will roughly cost you between $750,000 to $800 and some odd thousand dollars. However, if you amortize over a 30-year period and take out the base 5% on a $500,000 home, keep in mind most homes in Canada right now are above that benchmark, that your house would almost be doubled once the interest is done being paid and you're old and gray at approximately roughly $900 and some odd thousand dollars. Now, many people put the argument in there that, well, I mean, your home's going to gain value over time, to which my reply is, if I set money on fire and put it in front of you, would you put it out? You're throwing money away for the banks to get rich, and there's always someone to get rich. Which brings me to Trudeau's halal mortgages, and let's get into that and what is going on in the country. Of course, we have the pleb chiming in on Twitter, me showing up to apply for a mortgage in Canada. I mean, even successful guys like the pleb are going to have to jump on board with this because Trudeau is to introduce halal mortgages for Muslims in Canada, bans foreigners from buying homes for 2 years. I don't know about you guys, but maybe once you hear a little bit more about what this is, I've said you don't need to convert to being a Muslim. What you should do at this point is all of us, everybody watching this video, everyone in Canada, should take Justin Trudeau's logic in this country and flip it right back on him and start going to our banks and saying that we identify as Muslim. Where's our halal mortgage? So it says here that the Canadian government announces a plan to introduce the halal mortgage for Muslims and ban foreigners from buying land in the country for 2 years in its annual budget. Canadian government is exploring options to broaden access to financial alternatives, including halal mortgages. The initiative is part of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's efforts to support Canadians aspiring to become homeowners with a particular focus on the Muslim community. Now, if you wonder why the 2-year ban on property, essentially, I'm going to assume that that comes into places like Vancouver, where money laundering has been going on with corrupt Chinese gangsters who buy houses. They pay a lot more for those houses than they're worth, and a lot of times those houses have remained empty. They don't even get moved into. They're simply bought so that the Chinese have somewhere to store their dirty money. Now, when it comes to banning the purchase of homes, the government initially had raised the price of what a minimum down payment for foreign investors would be. And of course, that didn't work out because, again, it's crime-riddled money. They don't really care how much it is. They're able to store their money and hide it from Chinese police. But what is the reason that Justin Trudeau is caving now to the Muslim community? Well, if we look at Canada's Muslim population, this is a Government of Canada website, immigration.ca. New statistics are sparking debate over Canada and whether it's handle the incoming influx of Muslim immigrants to the country over the next few years. A new report called The Future of the Global Muslim Population estimates that by 2030, there will be approximately 2.7 million Muslims living in Canada, and they will make up approximately 6.6% of the population. So this has nothing to do with things that are necessary. This has nothing to do with people in need of a break or in need of, and boy, are they getting a break, and I'm going to get into that. But what it has to do with is buying votes. That's what Trudeau's doing here. Much like the heat pump situation with the carbon tax and the levy on Eastern Canada, this is a plea to buy votes for people. Now, let's get into the halal mortgage. In recent federal budget, the Liberal government revealed that it had initiated consultations with financial services providers and various communities. The goal is to better understand how federal policies can cater to the diverse needs of Canadians seeking homeownership. What about Canadians seeking Canadian homeownership? I understand that Muslim is a faith, but what about people who were born in this country, have lived in this country their whole lives, people who have poured into the tax system? Where's their break? Canada Budget 2024 announces this could include changes in the tax treatment of those products of a new regulatory sandbox for financial service providers while ensuring adequate consumer protections are in place. So what you have to take from that, again, I've played the clip before when Justin Trudeau was in Calgary offering dirty money to 15-minute cities, where he essentially said that life should be good for those who want to get on board with his planning of cities and his planning for the environment and the climate and all of their policies. And those who don't agree with his policies, well, they should have to pay more. Essentially, what Justin Trudeau has done with this is said Canadians, real red-blooded Canadians, are going to have to pay more because we don't agree with him, essentially. Halal mortgages are compliant with Islamic law, which prohibits the charging of interest, considering it in a form of usury. While other Arabic faiths such as Judaism, Christianity also view usury as a sin, Islamic financial institutions uniquely offer mortgage and lending products that avoid conventional interest payments. So if you're Muslim in Canada, and I'm going to get into what the different types of these mortgages are, you're essentially off the hook for interest. So if you buy a house for $500,000, well, in 25 years, you'll have paid $500,000. Seem fair yet? Does it feel like Justin Trudeau has your back? He has your back. He's just got a knife in it. Although some Canadian financial institutions already offer Islamic law compliant mortgages, none of the country's 5 major banks currently provide them. Experts believe these alternative mortgages might not be entirely interest-free, but could involve regular fees as substitutes for interest charges. And again, we'll get into that. Many on social media called it a woke idea that intends to benefit one section of the society. Religious fanatical products that different tax treatment. What? Wrote Paul Mitchell. It's not really an exemption based on religion. Again, it's vote buying. Follow the money. Follow where it's going to and why it's so important to go to that community. Justin Trudeau is urging votes from the Muslim community. And if they're all of a sudden getting the deal of a lifetime, if they can buy 2 houses for the price of one, why wouldn't they? Canada is going to impose a 2-year ban on foreign investors to buy home. In its budget document, Canada government has introduced a 2-year ban on the purchase of residential property by foreign investors effective January 1st, 2023. The government claims that this has been done to ensure that the homes are for Canadians to live in and not a speculative asset class for foreign investors or, laundering dirty money in Vancouver. In the budget proposal, the government announced it intends to extend the ban on foreign buying of Canadian homes by an additional 2 years to January 1st of 2027. Well, what happens after that? Foreign commercial enterprises and people who are not Canadian citizens or permanent residents will continue to be prohibited from purchasing residential property in Canada, document stated. In the housing-focused budget presented by Crystia Freeland, while she was twitching away, the government projected a deficit of $39.8 billion for fiscal 2024-2025. The budget includes $53 billion in new spending over the next 5 years. Again, how can you call it a budget? $38 billion for deficit while there's 53 of new spending. That's not a budget. If that were the budget in your home, you'd be going bankrupt. It's sickening. Let's move over to what they are. Trudeau announces the halal mortgages. Here's what they are. We'll scroll past the budget. Sorry. Why are regular mortgages not considered halal? Islamic law or Sharia law prohibits Muslims from charging or receiving interest because they are seen as exploitive and immoral. Well, I get on that boat. Instead of giving loans, Islamic banks use different payment structures to avoid charging interest. Sharia compliant mortgages include payment structures that take interest out of the equation. There are three common types of these mortgages. There's ijara, musharka, and uh, murabaha. And again, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing those. Ijara is rent-to-own model in which the bank buys the asset and leases it back out to the customer over a set period. The payments go towards both the capital and provide a profit for the financial institution. But it again is making the bank money, but I'm sure it's not to the degree of what interest payments are. It's a set agreement. I'd be curious to see if they have to re-sign that every 3 to 5 years. Musharaka is a form of partnership with the financier in which both parties own the property and the equity is slowly shifted until the partnership dissolves. And Murabaha is a credit system in which the ownership is immediately sold to the customer, with profits included in the final offer. The buyer's credit history, deposit, and terms of the agreement are factored in. Because these structures are considered more risky, they are often more expensive than a traditional interest loan. Canada's big banks do not currently provide halal mortgages, which the Liberal government hopes to change. Regardless how they put it, that it involves more money, I highly doubt that. I highly doubt it. If you're going to buy a home in Canada, the same rules should apply to everybody, regardless of your religious beliefs, your ethnicity, the color of your skin. While Justin Trudeau talks about a diverse society where everybody should see each other the same, I can tell you right now that up until Justin Trudeau was in office, I was not a person who actually saw color when I went out on the streets. Now, apparently, it's a crime in Canada to be white, to be male, to be straight. You're all of a sudden labeled all these terrible things for just existing, while Justin Trudeau talks about diversity, equity, and inclusion. And now he's giving interest-free mortgages to those of a religious faith, which again doesn't comply with roughly 94% of Canada's population. So I ask you, the viewer, how is this fair? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Let me know where you think this is headed or what we're going to see in the future. Let me know if you're converting to being a Muslim now so that you can get your interest-free mortgage. Boy, I'd sure love to have a base payment that never goes up or down. That would be fantastic. Leave your comments down below if it's your first time here. I hope this video has earned your subscription. We're very, very, very close to hitting 30,000 subscribers here on the channel. So if you're enjoying the content, again, hit that subscribe button, turn on your bell for notifications. Join us live every Friday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central for Friday Night Fringe, where we go over everything that's happened this week, everything coming up in the next week, and some back and forth with the community. It's always great to chat with you guys outside of making these videos, and I look forward to it each and every week and look forward to seeing each and every one of you there. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and have a great rest of your day. I'll catch you on the next one.